Hello there. Good to see you all, viewers, old and new. The gentleman you see across from me, the mastermind of PSI is Marc, and I am Elmer. We welcome you to Marc and Elmer's PSI, Piano Scene Investigations.
And Eager and Grogu are with us as well.
Yes, they are.
Came in to watch.
Yeah, we've had an interesting couple of weeks here.
Yeah.
So this episode makes what number?
This is 41, I think.
This is 41.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we lost the costume one.
Yeah.
We did a really fun
Halloween
one, but I was actually doped up with some pain medicine because I think I had already said this. I'd fallen on the 24th, went down the stairs, and the following week, I'm much better now. My knee is almost completely good. I'm going to have some physical therapy for my shoulder.
Okay.
I don't have quite anything close to the range of flexibility. I can still play.
Oh, good.
Fortunately, I didn't seem to hurt my wrists or my hands, but I think I jammed my shoulder. But anyway, I was a bit doped up for that episode. It was homeopathic and herbal, but still. And I forgot to turn on the microphone, which is the first thing I do, just as a sequence of things, and I forgot. And when it's plugged in, the external microphone is plugged into the camera, it cancels the internal microphone. Because we did release a show, I think.
We did?
A while back.
We had 38,
where,
39.
Well, it's been a while maybe, but it's recorded with the internal microphone.
Okay.
Which is more room-wide ambient. This is I forget what you call that kind of microphone, but it's a little more direct and picks us up a little more specifically. Anyway, yes, everything is plugged in and turned on, and hopefully this will be a show.
Okay. Before we start, we're entering the holidays here, winter holidays, and I'm sure you all want to make that piano look nice and clean and nice and shiny and rather, spiritedly looking. I want to bring to you, ching 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 ching, dun 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 dun. Here it is, Corey piano polish to shine up that piano, shine up the keys with it. Well, not this one, but they have a whole line of items to shine up the keys as well. But this is what we use for the our pianos over at Von Mar. Have you ever seen the pianos at Von Mar? At least over in Polaris Parkway or Polaris Mall? Yes, there's a reason why it's shining all the time. This is the reason. Me too. So
you spray a little of that on yourself. Huh?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll have to say, my wife does not think it makes a very good cologne.
So
not a very good cologne.
You spray it on directly, or you just spray it in here and then walk through it?
I've tried both ways. She still doesn't like the smell.
This is like our version of Prairie Home Companion when they used to do the buttermilk biscuits. That was their quote-unquote sponsor.
Oh.
You didn't know that Garrison Keillor when he used to do Prairie Home Companion? That was a great program out of Wisconsin.
What's it called?
Minnesota Public Radio. Garrison Keillor was a great writer.
Yeah, I know.
Storyteller.
Yeah. Christmas story.
For years they did this Yeah, they did this TV or a radio show, and they were public radio, so they got money elsewhere, but they had a mock product supporter, and it's somebody's buttermilk biscuits. I said, this stuff's for real.
Yeah.
This stuff is for real. We don't get any compensation for it. Maybe at some point in the future, I'm sure that's what he's thinking.
It's our contribution to our piano community.
Yeah.
So, but Garrison Keillor. That's interesting. You brought that up. He's are you familiar with his? Well, you're familiar with Britain's Young Person's Guide to the Orchestra.
Sure.
Well, Garrison Keillor helped produce the Young Mormon's Guide to the Orchestra. There's a recording. I used to have the recording. I might still have it. I'll have to look it up. But it's hilarious. I mean, if you watched Christmas Story with young Ralphie and his buddies and family and the school teacher,
I'll throw a picture of that up.
Yeah.
If you don't know that movie, that's like
it's iconic.
It's iconic.
It is. I mean, the USA Channel shows it for 24 hours. Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and so
kills me at the end. I won't give all of it away, but there's a Chinese restaurant scene, and the guys are singing Christmas carols.
Yeah,
I won't imitate it because it will sound racist, but
come on, they all know it.
Check out, all the way.
Deck the horse with boughs of hoary. Fa ra 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 ra.
I love it when he's collecting it. Was it? They started singing, he didn't do it right. No, take the whore.
Yeah, that was funny. But okay, so anyways, I was recalling my childhood, and one of my favorite parts. I'm from Findlay, Ohio. Some of you Findlayites out there, yeah. We've all been through Riverside Park, right? Take a long walk on the Blanchard River, alongside of it, and you all notice a rock. I don't know if it's still there. Very, very large rock. It's been painted, and it's quite colorful. It is the Tell Taylor Memorial, and I had forgotten about this. But Tell Taylor, the Blanchard River, and that spot was the inspiration to his famous hit song, "Down by the Old Mill Stream."
Really? Yeah. It was the brothers that made that famous, right?
Yeah, the Harry and something McConaughey brothers or something like that.
No, I've seen the Black Quartet.
Oh, the Mills
brothers.
Mills brothers. Yes, I heard that those guys did a good job with it too. They sound wonderful.
Yeah,
they're a spirited group. I really like those guys. Yeah, but anyways, yeah. Tell Taylor. I wish, and surprisingly, just out of my own curiosity, I did Google him on Wikipedia. I did not know this, but Tell Taylor has composed over 200 songs.
This guy's from Finley?
Yeah, he's from Finley, at least around the area. He's buried in Finley at the Van something cemetery, somewhere around there. But he was probably the biggest American entertainer from Finley. I'm going to venture this. I'm going to take a risk on saying that. I'm thinking that he probably was. Singer, songwriter, comedian, actor, vaudeville entertainer. That talent took him all over the country.
There's some famous people from here in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Bob Hope was supposedly born in London, but then his family moved to Ohio. And he grew up here. Bob Crane, Colonel Hogan, his heroes.
Yeah.
He's from Ohio.
Yeah.
Of course, there's plenty of people. Pete Rose is born in Ohio.
Yeah.
But over
the
next, that's right.
Phyllis Diller.
Next state over, Hoagie Carmichael. I'll flash the cities up. I don't remember. He's from some northern Indiana kind of country town.
Yeah.
And James Dean.
Yeah.
Fairmount, is it? I think Fairmount, Indiana. But he's from a farm family just about an hour northeast of Indianapolis. I went to visit his and his family's home. There's a James Dean Museum,
Wow.
big house on the corner, and it's really cool. They got a museum upstairs and then downstairs in the basement. The guy had a kind of an antique store, but like really cool
Huh.
James Dean period stuff, you know.
Wow.
40s through the 70s, maybe.
That's interesting.
That was fun.
And where's this at? It's in
Fairmount, I think it's
Fairmount?
called Fairmount,
Okay.
Indiana. About an hour northeast of Indianapolis. And it's interesting. The cemetery, you just drive up this country road, and it's not a very big cemetery, and I don't know if there's more than one road. It's not paved, but in the cemetery. The stone was right there, just off the, what was the road? There's a fence, and then there's cemetery, and then there's a little road, more graves. And it was right there.
Wow.
He was buried back in Indiana. Anyway.
Okay. Well, anyways, all right. So let's jump into it. Okay. How well do we know the Netherlands? The Netherlands. Recently, September 2024, there was a celebration at the Gaudeamus House. Have you heard of it? So apparently, it's been 100 years since they laid the first stone to build this house. This is a house in I think it's in Holland, maybe.
Oh, that's the Netherlands.
Somewhere in the Netherlands, yeah,
Yeah.
somewhere there. But anyways, so I guess it's a house where they've had like concerts, lectures, just a bunch of artful things.
Gaudeamus is Latin for "let us rejoice."
Yes. So, but anyways, so recently they decided to celebrate in September, this past September, a series of concerts. So there's a composer named Julius Roentgen or something like that.
Roentgen?
Rontgen.
Yeah, Roentgen.
Yeah,
Roentgen.
how do you say it?
Roentgen.
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 Yeah.
Okay, wow, that's very good. Well,
It's like the same name, but he was a German guy who created the X-ray.
Oh,
Roentgen.
okay, cool.
But I think the spelling's a slightly bit different. The Dutch spelling's a little different.
Okay.
I've heard of it.
Wow. Well, anyways, there was a series of composers,
Concerts.
past, yeah, and they did a few recitals there, mostly lots of chamber music, some piano music as well. And one of the composers that was on the program scheduled is one Willem Pijper, Pigper. I'm not sure of the pronunciation of that one. So anyways, who is Willem Pijper? Well, as far as I know, I mean, I've never heard of him for like the longest time. But apparently he's Dutch. He's a Dutch composer, and I did not know this. But he was one of the leading composers of his time in the Netherlands. But anyways, I want to use that as our prelude to our segment, PSI, all pieces considered.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, so welcome, viewers, old and new, to PSI's All Pieces Considered. And I bring forth to you a sonata by Willem Pijper, or Pieper, I don't know. It's a sonata for piano by this guy. Want to take a look?
Yeah.
Okay. You know it?
No.
No. Okay. You've heard of the composer?
No.
How would you say the name? Pieper? Or Pieper?
I don't know how the J would affect things. I'd say Pijper.
Pijper?
Maybe Pijper.
Pieper. Okay. Well, anyways, so
Whoa.
how did I find this work? Well, a long time ago, my freshman year at Ohio Wesleyan, the library was getting rid of a bunch of music, and all I found out was it was going to get all thrown out, and so I started leafing through all of it, and this was among them, this piano sonata. So Elmer to the rescue. I pulled the thing out.
Looking at it.
If you look at it, no.
No.
In addition to it, I also found a piano sonata by Ingolf Dahl. It's one of our previous episodes.
Yeah.
Ingolf Dahl. But yeah, this thing is it's an interesting work, very interesting work, very complex indeed. And,
I was just going to say I can see why we got rid of it.
oh, come on!
I mean, look at that.
All right, here, let me give the people a show. It's published by Gaudeamus, and believe it or not, these guys are still around. Gaudeamus. Any idea? It could be. Okay. Anyways, this is what the cover looks like. This work, needless to say, is very, very rarely performed.
I can see. Sorry, Elmer.
That's okay. So,
That's the
anyways,
closest we ever got to trash anything. I'm sorry.
but anyways,
Just looks like it's very intentionally not harmonically terribly placed.
yeah. Well, you'll be surprised. There's some elements of it where it believe it or not, there is a sort of a
This
bit
is
of
our
a
first like real
center.
Siskel and Ebert moment here.
Yeah, sort of. Or Julius Caesar. Or
Well, how about
life.
this? What
Or,
about this?
yeah, so, but anyways, Willem Pijper. Born September 8th, 1894, died on March 18th, 1947. He was born in Zeist, and he died in Leichendam, something like that. His earliest music education, father taught him all the notes on treble clef at 5 years old, and soon after he started composing little pieces.
Never figured out the rest of it. Sorry,
No,
Elmer.
no,
I'm
well,
in that good mood today.
well, he wouldn't be known as a composer if he didn't. So,
Yeah.
anyways, so that was his early years. Eventually, he would wind up taking piano lessons from a local piano teacher. 1912 to 1916, he would have been a teenager then. He attended the Utrecht College of Music, studying theory, composition, and piano with professors Johann Wagenaar and Helena von Luthern Hansen. Never heard of either one. Incidentally, the sonata is dedicated to one Bernard Wagenaar. I don't know if he's related to Johann or could they be the same person? Do not know. So, but
I think it was a dog.
oh, well, could be.
Bernard
You
Wagenaar.
never know.
I think it was the same person. Oh.
Yeah, could be.
How's it going, Marc?
Yes. So, his career, 1919 to 1922, he was a music critic for the local paper Utrecht's Dagblad, Dagblad. Daily News? Okay. 1920 to 1922, professor of harmony at the Amsterdam College of Music.
Wow.
1925, 1930, principal professor at the Amsterdam Conservatory. 1925, 1932, editor for music periodicals. 1930, became head master at the Rotterdam Conservatory. There's a bit of a gap here. From 1922 to 1925, there's nothing there. So don't know what happened there. So, let's see. His life, well, rather turbulent, to say the least. 1918, he marries Annie Werker, Werker, and I guess apparently wherever he was at when he married her opened up doors for him artistically and socially. He was introduced to Diepen Brock, and J.S. Brons Bias, who were great supporters of the the current French trends in the arts.
Hmm.
So it would have been just during the turn of the century.
Mm-hmm.
1923, he met the playwright Balthasar Verhagen, with whom he co-produced these Greek dramas.
Hmm.
So apparently that only lasted very short time. Now, well, here it is, 1925. Remember when I said there was a bit of a gap between 22 and 25? Apparently in 25, having failed to find much work, and apparently he had an affair, which went down the tubes. So with all that going on, he was pushed to another failure, suicide in July.
Wow.
So not being very optimistic, he divorced his wife and moved to Amsterdam, where he finally did find work. He started a relationship with the author Emmy von Lockhorst and married her in 1927. Interesting. This takes us to, let's see. Oh, I guess one of his greatest achievements was being the critic for that local paper. So, yeah, the Dagblad. Apparently, he was a music critic, and one of his, well, I guess one of the eventful things in his life was being the critic of the one conductor, Jan van Gilse. So we have here, and apparently this was a legendary encounter, and vice versa, because the two of them clashed quite a bit, and quite a bit of a drama. And to this day, I guess, when they had the festival at the Gaudeamus House.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was brought up. They talked about the events. They even brought out all the reviews concerning this guy. So apparently, von Gilse was the conductor of the Stedelijk Orchestra.
Stedelijk.
It's Stedelijk. Stedelijk.
It's a state. It means kind of state. Like of the state. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking too. Okay, anyway.
German is staatlich, but Dutch is staatlich.
Okay, cool. Anyways, when he was first given the conductorship for the orchestra, I guess relations were very good. They were genial. They started off well, and then for some reason or other, the reviews got so bad and so scathing that Gilse eventually resigned in 1922. So didn't want to deal with it anymore. So, anyways, the theory is von Gilse tended to be more of a German traditionalist. And so when he was conducting concerts, he conducted Beethoven, Brahms, Wagner, and such, right? Well, Pijper, apparently he was more, one thing's a little bit more progressive, and so he was much more interested in the current trends of the music coming from the French. And so when he didn't get it, well, there you go. So, which brings us to this sonata. Now, as strange as it seems, I did play through it. It took me a while, but I did. It is in 3 movements. This thing is only about 5 to 6 minutes long, so it's not very long at all. As a matter of fact, each movement is about, well, with the exception of the second movement, which is slow, okay? But the third and the first and the third movements are not much longer than maybe a Chopin etude, average length.
Well, I'm thinking the Ravel Sonatina is about not 10 minutes, right?
No, not
I
10
played
minutes.
that. It's been a long time, but
This one's shorter.
For a sonata, this is a very thin book.
Yes, very thin. But anyways, so to date, okay, like I said, it's not performed very often. Okay, at the Gaudeamus House, it was performed by one pianist, Jorian von Ney. N-E-E.
We're scraping the bottom of this iceberg today.
Yes, exactly. Very bottom. So, but anyways, he or she performed it at the Gaudeamus House. And more recently, if you look on YouTube, Ronald Brautigam performed it and has recorded it, and it's posted on YouTube. It is a 15-year-old post. So
Brautigam is interesting.
Yeah,
he's recorded all the Beethoven sonatas on historic instruments.
Yeah,
he's a forte pianist. I mean, I think he plays both.
Yeah,
but
well, apparently
he was written up relatively recently for some new work that he's done. I can't remember what it was. But no, I think it was actually a British article on certain maybe forte pianists or keyboardists, and he was mentioned how I've seen his stuff available. I haven't bought anything because it's all he's alive and they're contemporary prices. So single CD is like more than $20.
Wow.
And I'm more into the dead guys, where you can buy a whole box of their crap for $100.
So, anyways, so other than Ronald Brautigam,
Is it an N or an M at the end?
It's an M at the end.
Yeah, Brautigam. Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, there is another post by young pianist, Japanese, I believe, Harumi Shiraishi, and it's an 8-year-old post.
Oh.
And she actually plays.
What did it say?
She actually played the first movement.
Oh,
so and that was it.
Did you listen to them?
I listened to the both of them. So, and believe it or not, for a listener, it's actually quite accessible. Believe it or not, I mean, as windy as it gets, it's actually quite accessible. Now, having played through this piece, I'm going to step out on a limb and say that it actually has more in common with Igor Stravinsky's Sonata. It actually has.
Well, I wasn't suggesting anything to do with that.
No,
but just that length. That's all.
But all right, now let me tell you about something about before we get into this, little details about it. Stravinsky's Sonata, as he's written about the sonata, Stravinsky himself, what he's done, he says he doesn't claim to want to revolutionize the form of the sonata. Instead, what he wants to do is take the sonata and return it to its most basic form. Okay? And so what he cites is the term sonata evolved from the word Latin root sonare, okay, which means to sound. Okay, so basically Stravinsky's sonata, what he claims to compose in this work was to create a sound piece, is what it is. Okay, I mean, you still get themes and it's, it has some structure to it, but basically he says it's a sound piece. All right, and basically that's what I found in this, but there are far more different devices and elements involved in this. The one thing it does have in common with Stravinsky is this, what you call sort of this beginning the work with sort of a germ or a cell and building from that.
I can see that.
In this,
Right.
no introduction, no prelude, nothing. Boom, chuck, da 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 da. Boom, chuck, da 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 da. It starts off right off the bat. Everything, this entire piece, second movement, third movement, is based off of just these opening measures right there. Okay? He takes even just the first couple beats. Ba chunk, da 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 da, boom chunk, da 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 da. He takes just the first couple beats, and he'll employ that in terms of like how would you say um, contracting it, lengthening, augmentation, and diminution of just these opening beats, and he does that all throughout the first movement. Um, Now, what else does he use? Well, he also uses polytonality. It's all over here. I mean, you have the sense of uh, two chords being played at once. What else? More prevalent, probably than any other element in the composition of this work, is the use of octatonic structures. Octatonic structures. Now, probably most of you who don't know what most of you know what that is. So bear with me. Octatonic structures is the use of a scale that alternates between semitones and whole tones, which is right here. And that's more prevalent in this work than any other element I see in this. So basically, that's the first movement. Now the second movement, out of all of them, uses more it's more melodic than the first one. It's more melodic, and it almost starts off almost as a song, and then you hear duet, and sometimes even um, let's see, almost a sort of trumpet ensemble because of the use of these parallel root position triads on the right hand. Um, it's marked adagio molto. So he's here stretching, expanding, um, long harmonic rhythm. So harmonies are expanded. Uh, very little as far as heavy rhythmic activity going on the surface. Very expressive. He uses words like expressive. Now the last movement is different. I found it's the quickest one. It's marked Allegro Volante. It's in 3/8, but in parentheses he has 9/16. It's a very quick tempo piece. Playing this movement, I have to say it has almost sort of it's almost a cross between a jig and a tarantella. But it flies quite quickly. It's even, and as far as the tempo goes, this thing is 4 pages long, but it's almost finished like a blink of an eye almost. It's very wide range. It's expansive. The closing bars mostly fortissimo. Lots of what do you say? Displaced rhythm. Portions of it. I mean, basically very dance-like. It moves along quite well. But anyways, that is what I have for you as far as Willem Pijper. Not very, not performed very often. I don't know if you'll find this one on IFSLP.
Well, it's possible. I mean, I got to look him up.
Yeah.
When you said that Stravinsky's trying to
Yeah.
turn the sonata to what it was.
Well, I mean, not the sonata, but the word.
The word.
The word.
Okay.
So.
I mean, when you see it, it is a sonata.
Yeah.
It's an amazing. I mean, that could be an interesting, huge topic.
Yeah.
For a show. I was thinking of some things. I mean, Haydn, in terms of the sonata as we understand it, generally,
Yeah.
in the last 300 years, Haydn was the one that kind of set the stage for that.
Oh yeah.
The word goes back at least another possible 200 years before
Yeah.
him. But there were sonatas from the Baroque period, and then there were some that I think even go back into the Renaissance a little bit. But I would say structurally what Haydn sets up, and then Beethoven, because he already starts to try to tear things apart and experiment with the forms. Sonatas and then symphonies in the classical structure, they're all the same thing. It's all based upon what's called sonata form. And it's an interesting concept because it starts out more intellectual. That's the idea. The first movement is supposed to ideally present two contrasting ideas. There's an initial theme, and there's another one. And then the development would, develop those things. It would more or less kind of go into varying a little bit, changing the keys, seeing what you could do with the material. Haydn was very conservative with his material in that he would introduce certain ideas, and that was that. And then he would, the brilliance was he could really exploit them and find out ways to turn them inside out and do things with them. There's 3 movement and 4 movement traditions. It's usually a rather heady, serious first movement. The second movement in a 3, especially in a 3 movement sonata form, is something lyrical. And then the third movement is something a little lighter, a kind of virtuosic. The earliest things were basically based around dance ideas, happy dances, or like you said, a tarantella or a jig or something like that. I mean, the last movements of the partitas of Bach are kind of a predecessor of the third movements of the classical sonata. The fourth movement is when there's what's called a scherzo, so a tight little dance, and then a trio was introduced, which is kind of a more lyric, gently opposing, contrasting figure to the scherzo itself. But it's interesting because Beethoven already is starting to turn things around and tear things apart. The Barber Sonata, where sometimes Beethoven does this though in Opus 10, number 3, in the D major. Da, da, pa, 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 pa. He waits and he does the slow movement in the third movement. And I think that's what Barber does, because isn't the second movement of Barber's a scherzo?
The second movement is a scherzo.
And then he has the slow movement. And then he uses a fugue.
Then the fugue.
For the fourth. For the
double
fourth
fugue.
It's just really interesting. Charles Rosen, very famous pianist, whose master's degree, I think from Yale or somewhere up there in the Northeast, was in medieval French literature.
Oh, yeah.
Well, one of the great pianists of the 20th century. He wrote a book called Sonata Form. Right?
Yeah, he did.
And it's really fascinating to read. It's a fascinating history. It's a fascinating form. It really, I think, between Haydn and, of course, Mozart is interesting because his are just rife with beautiful ideas.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't, I mean, where Haydn is conservative and has these kind of specific themes and then reuses the material. Most often in the developments of Mozart's first movements, they're new themes. And then he plays around with those. Then winds his way back to recapitulation, means the return of the original material, but so that you stay in the home key. So with those 3 big guys, Haydn, Mozart, and Beethoven, and then all respected for various reasons. Very different in the way they treated the form. But it kind of develops an iconoclastic character that if you're going to be considered a serious composer thereafter, what do you do with sonata form? How do you write? And I mean, when you're a student, you have to learn how to do that. You have to learn how to do those things. And then it's interesting to see what happens in the 19th century. It moves along. I mean, Beethoven was already breaking down the idea of completely separate movements. 109 that I played goes from the introductory stuff right into the next one, and then it's kind of strange. It's either a 2 or a 3 movement sonata depending on how you look at it. And the third movement is wonderful because it incorporates aspects of what would have been maybe a lyric and a final movement. In that it's all theme and variations. This beautiful heavenly theme which just transfigures into something remarkably ethereal by the end of it, with the trills all over the place. Yeah. And then Beethoven, even people would say, I don't think it was thinking of it this way, but his dotted rhythms in the last movement of the 32nd piano Sonata.
Oh yeah.
Sounds like ragtime.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Almost like that.
Yeah. Or what? Let's see. Andras Schiff. He says some pianists play that in the dotted rhythm. He says it almost sounds like. He says he hates it when pianists make it sound almost like boogie woogie.
Yeah.
Is what he says. Now when we say dotted rhythm, we're using that term rather loosely because it goes down to that. It's actually what triplet something rather. So
then there's Liszt, what he does with it.
Yes.
But it's interesting because people are still writing sonatas to this very day.
Yeah.
And in one way or another, I think, especially given the stretching apart of things in the later 19th century, there was the Brahms school and there was the Liszt Wagner school. Yeah. 20th century, sometimes you see some very conservative return to classical structure.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, Barber for one.
Yeah, Barber and Copland.
Copland.
Yeah.
Boulez wrote sonatas.
Boulez, yeah.
And Elliott Carter's really wonderful sonata. There's really extraordinary. It's really amazing, and we could thank Papa Haydn for that. Really, I mean, it's his the support of Esterhazy and the freedom that he had because he was so highly respected by the Esterhazys and then by musicians that worked with him.
Oh yeah.
Man was held in extremely high regard.
Yes. There's a reason why they call him Papa Haydn.
But it didn't seem like it really went to his head.
Yeah.
He remained, they say, a relatively kind and humble person throughout his whole life. The British esteemed him enormously at the end of his career. He went to England for a period of time, wrote all those English symphonies, London symphonies. And he knew how to hang out with, the aristocracy and the royalty and all that. But they were surprised at how genteel he was, how gentle he was in his nature. Anyway, that just made me think about that. I mean, it's just amazing how elastic the form has been, because fundamentally it's just opposing ideas, something singable, something kind of jokey or quackery or fun.
Yeah, exactly.
And then something satisfying, perhaps at the beginning of 4 movements. Which definitely is more lighthearted in general. I played the big A major, the late one of Schubert. Schubert's interesting because his middle movements like that often have, it's beautiful. Well, it's very sad, that beautiful melody. So you can definitely hear it like it's a string quartet, pizzicato and stuff. But then it's a stormy section, really stormy. And then it comes back to this beautiful release. But then he uses actually an old song for the third movement and treats it as Beethoven did, as variations. That's the way he worked his way through it. The old form of rondo was a main theme, something different. Main
different
theme
key.
Comes again, something different. And then the point is that there's a common kind of theme you return to throughout to the ending, but interspersed with these moments, which then of and of themselves can be variations of themselves. But ultimately, it's just that kind of joyful, one might say, kind of overall theme that gets you to the end. Anyway, it's just interesting me looking at that and just thinking about these other things. How it's a remarkable thing. It's worth some study. I mean, some reading, but I would say more so. Just getting on the piano and looking through sonatas. I mean, look at some of what Haydn was doing very early, and then as he matured with it. I mean, the guy invented it. So to begin with, and the period of time they came out of the Mannheim School, music was intentionally, philosophically, really streamed down got rid of all the Rococo and the Baroque fluffiness and all this. It just became very harsh and thin and very, very severe, classically structured kind of ideas. And then I'm sure people got bored with it.
Yeah.
You know, there's only so much you can stand. And then somebody like Haydn just went off and made some lovely things.
Yeah.
He himself was even, well, let's put it this way. He created it so he could do whatever the hell he wanted with it.
Yeah.
He was inventing and then revising and doing stuff. Mozart just wrote some lovely things. I mean, what's remarkable about Mozart and Schubert is the lyric talent.
Absolutely.
I mean, even with the serious melody,
Yeah.
you know, with the great B flat sonata.
Listen how smooth those modulations are.
Lovely progression of the idea. And yet it turns into something that really gets worked out in the sonata way.
Yeah.
And he has a double exposition.
Yeah.
So it's kind of remarkable.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Liszt wrote his famous sonata.
Yeah.
They've become less so. Let's put it this way. The form in and of itself tends to require a certain respect for structure.
Yeah.
In the 19th century, it was about developing narrative music, which tells stories or unfolds in a more narrative style. I'm not sure where that comes from. The one thing I think of is Schubert's songs. Some of the longer songs has a way of telling a story, and then he had different musical ideas to underscore the emotions or
the story or the objects or people.
Really, I mean, Schubert's songs are an early demonstration of probably film music. Following a story and then writing music that really makes it work.
Yeah.
We were watching a film recently, The House of Usher.
Oh,
Vincent Price, one of Roger Corman's films. For over in England.
Yeah.
Story. I mean, Poe's original story is good.
Yeah.
The movie in and of itself. I just put it this way.
It's Vincent Price.
Yeah, I love Vincent Price, but what was really good though, was the music.
Oh, okay.
And I forget the guy's name, but he had quite an interesting career, and it's perfect. I mean, all the way through, just as a musician. And I told Laura, I said, "This could get real scary. Listen to the violins. There it comes." And then, there's some wonderful things that have been written. Well, I'm thinking of, I don't know why I can never remember it. Who was the great Russian leader in around, was it 900 AD that fought off the Mongols? It's a cantata that Prokofiev wrote.
Oh. Ivan the Terrible?
No. Not Peter.
No, Alexander. No.
Alexander Nevsky.
Nevsky, yes.
Alexander, which the black and white film that the great Russian filmmaker Eisenstein that he made. It's an amazing film.
Yes, it is.
But the music of Prokofiev.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Oh yeah, it is,
and it stands by itself. I mean, I've heard performances of it.
Absolutely.
With the chorus and stuff. But together, it really is quite an amazing thing. And I find that sometimes with a few. There's a film I don't remember it too well, but it was a Yul Brynner film.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the one where he plays. Kind of the Mongolian period guy that lived in Tajikistan and created this Samarkand kingdom. I forget his name. I think that's what the film was about. It was
Yul Brynner.
It was with Yul Brynner. It was interesting because the music score was really intense and dense and everything. It overwhelmed the dialogue. I mean, the music was. I couldn't watch the film. Because it felt like somebody's talking all the time while like if you're at a concert, somebody jamming where you're trying to take in the music. I thought, whoa, somebody. God love the director, whoever it was that picked the composer to write the music and approved it and everything. But the whole project crumbled, I felt, because the music was really fascinating.
Yeah.
But it somehow
The Clash.
bigger than the story and the dialogue and everything. So, but there's some wonderful things. Other than somebody that really writes good, emotional narrative and music that really underscores the story of the action, John Williams. I mean, there's some wonderful stuff in there that he wrote. Now I know I got to offer.
Oh, that's okay.
You're talking about the Sonata.
Sonata.
And that just,
The last Sonata.
it's a fascinating study to just see what people have done with them.
Yeah.
What they call a sonata. In some cases, they're very short-lived things, and they call it a sonata. And I think it's probably in the composer's mind, it's because of probably the seriousness with which he or she devoted to the creation of it. And in their mind, thinking, have you ever played a sonata that just like, why do they call it sonata?
Oh.
Have you ever played any?
One of those.
I don't know that I have. I played some things. I mean, I played things that are really all over the place in terms of structure and if they just bleed into each other, one thing after the next or something. But I don't know. I guess a sonata comes across as kind of a. Let's put it this way: a sonata in general is not a salad. It's not even a dessert.
Yeah.
It's heading somewhere in the way of an entree or a major charcuterie board with plenty of bread, cheese, and meat on it. So you're going to spend time eating.
No, I haven't ran into any sonatas that.
And a really great example of really amazing music and incorporating so many of his researched ideas is the Bartok Sonata. Wonderful.
Oh yeah.
It's 3 movements, and they're very classical in terms of following that outline. You know? But and I think for me, it's one of the most successful ones. It's wonderful on the ideas that he gets out, and then he has that wonderful in the second movement, and then the third. You know, wonderful. It's like one of his Romanian folk dances or something.
Yeah.
Just fabulous things.
Yeah.
And then I love what I've ever heard of Elliot Carter. I think you have to open yourself up, and it's not instantly accessible necessarily, but the Night Fantasies is one of my favorite pieces I've ever read. If I ever Charles Rosen play it live, but I also like the Sonata as well, and string quartets they wrote and things. And there's the other thing. There's another form. String quartets in general and symphonies are usually based in sonata
form. Yeah.
That's
okay. That's okay. I mean,
I interrupted you for you.
Well, I was going to say that as far as sonatas being composed recently, the last one I know of is the Earl Wild Sonata.
He wrote one?
He wrote one. He actually, you can say, it's just the title page, all it says is Sonata, and then in parentheses it says 2000.
Wow.
And so I can't recall if it's a 3 or 4 movement sonata. I'm venturing to say it was probably 4.
You have a copy of it?
I have a recording of it. I don't have a copy of the score, but I do have a recording of it. And it's him.
He's playing it.
He's playing it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's playing it. And since then, a handful of others have taken up, the score and tried to learn it. The last movement was inspired by what's the name of a really popular Latin American singer. He was really popular, but it was inspired by him, and he sort of took some of the rhythms and ideas and formed sort of a toccata out of it. Latin American. I can't remember his name, but he was really popular back in like the 90s?
I wouldn't hazard a guess.
Oh gosh, he was really popular. Not Iglesias, but you know, he sang like La Vida Loca or something like that.
I know. I can see his face. Almost. I can't remember.
I can't remember his name either.
Ah.
But last time I saw him, he was one of the judges on The Voice. So last time I saw him in England. So, Rick. It's Rick something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ricky. Thank God, I can't remember his name. We'll post it when you look it up and you can post it. So, but anyways, Willem Pijper. Like I said, if you can get the notes down, it's actually quite. For the listener, they might wonder what it is.
This is not even. This is challenging stuff. I looked at it.
Oh yeah.
A lot of racing thirds and
fourths
and things. And it's this would be a challenge.
Yeah, but I urge you, find the recording on YouTube. I told you about it. It's actually posted by Brautigam, like he said. Mm-hmm. So, well, anyways, this ends PSI, all pieces considered.
Okay.
So, do you remember a while back when we talked about Disney's Fantasia?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You said your mom and dad wouldn't let you see it. Yeah.
They went to watch it. Mom said,
yeah.
She thought there's some scary stuff in it.
Oh, there were some scary stuff in it. There were some.
The late 60s.
I'm going to say, eventually say 60s. And then,
so I would have only been like 8 years old in 1970. I was born in 62. So, and Susan was younger than me by 3 years. So, yeah, we weren't. That was years before I finally saw it.
Yeah.
And
what'd you think?
I think it's great. I think, well, I mean, come on, when you see any of the great classic, you even dare call them cartoons, because somehow it's very different.
It's very, it's not a children's cartoon. No,
that, but I mean, all of the big ones, Snow White and Cinderella and stuff. Those are amazing creations, and people, they did that stuff way before there was CI.
Way before CGI.
That was all done by human beings doing things by hand.
Yeah, drawing it.
You ever see those little booklets where somebody would put a sketch or something?
Yeah.
And then you just go,
yeah.
And it moves and does
exactly.
I used to have a couple little books like that.
Yeah.
That's why they did it. Slight variations, one after the next. Or it's like, I heard a story recently in the news about a guy that was doing claymation.
Films. The stop and go films type of deal.
God. To do a 15-minute
just to do a
film
takes
him 8 weeks to half a year. I mean, it's just incredible. This is the way it used to be done. But yeah, when I saw it, I thought it was wonderful. I thought they really captured the music, Yeah. I thought it was very interesting that Stokowski was called in to do that.
Was the orchestra called that yet?
I'm not sure who the orchestra was. They may have got their own guns together. Sure. But this would have been in California at the time. It wasn't in Florida.
Yeah.
Disney World. But they got Stokowski to direct it, which makes a certain amount of sense. The guy was, I developed huge respect for Stokowski.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he was kind of derided, not so much in his lifetime, but the latter part of his lifetime, and then afterwards, because people said about all these guys, though, with Kusavinsky and Stokowski and some of the real old timers, they were, playing around the music, they kind of did this, and they took shortcuts and changed this, and doing arrangements and stuff.
Yeah.
But I've seen there's amazing stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
Stokowski, for example, what was really interesting in the early 20th century?
Yeah.
A lot of the symphony orchestras with some of the great, and most of them were European trained conductors, were playing contemporary music.
Yeah.
lots and lots
Lots of
of
contemporary music.
contemporary modern compositions.
Yeah.
And Stokowski was a great proponent for things like that.
Oh yeah.
There's William Walton, a symphony that he does.
Yep, I know
And
that one.
he experimented a lot with moving people around in the orchestra.
That I did not know.
There's some very interesting graphics available that shows him trying different placements for the instruments.
Yeah.
Very amazing years. Now, my understanding was that originally he was an organist.
Yep.
And he had a real thing for the voicing and the sets and the. I mean, when you get if you get an orchestra around a really great organ with some manuals, some stops, it's like an old version of a synthesizer. You can get some amazing combinations of sounds, and then of course working in the large space, you can play with the acoustics and things like that. Stokowski was really remarkable with that. So it doesn't surprise. One of my favorite recordings, and it's an LP, but I think I have it on CD now too. Stokowski conducts Wagner.
Oh.
And he's doing some excerpts like Siegfried's Rhine Journey and the funeral of Siegfried's funeral and some other things. There's amazing thing when the Fafner and Fassel finished building the castle for the gods, and they ascend the latter part of Rheingold when they ascend up to it. And that was with Philadelphia Orchestra.
Astonished, huh?
I mean, it's like a painter. I mean, a masterful painter with master strokes. It's just, I mean, like what's his name? Homer, is it?
Winslow Homer,
who shows the images of the boats out at sea, right?
Yeah.
You just see yourself in the midst of those massive waves and everything, and thinking about Herman Melville's Moby Dick and all this kind of stuff. Like, my God, the courage that these men have to go out in wooden boats and do this stuff and get tossed around like a little rubber ducky in a kid's bathtub.
Yeah.
The colors and the waves of sound and emotion and everything.
Yeah.
It's breathtaking.
I'm sure it was.
Music making. So anyways,
I
thought he did a good job with Disney.
Well, I wanted to use this as a prelude to our next segment. PSI at the movies.
Oh, here we go, guys.
There's that popcorn.
Oh, is that what that is?
Oh boy.
You're doing stuff again?
You better not be.
I ate some chili last week.
Oh, please.
He loves his
Don't
chili.
tell me about the flatulence. Okay, so for our viewers, new and old and new, welcome to PSI at the movies. And so, since we were talking about Fantasia earlier, I brought the movie. This is an old VHS. I'm still using VHS.
Wow.
Well, it's a 120-minute film. 120-minute film. Rated G. Wow. Wonderful. So anyways, there it is. Let me see. In case of some... I want
Those younger folks that may not know about it.
They may not know about this movie. You have to
that
go
picture
see
of Mickey?
Yes.
He's the sorcerer's apprentice in Public
Yes.
Palace, the sorcier apprentice.
Yes. Now, for some of you who didn't know... I'm sorry. Put this up
Or
here.
even above him.
Okay. There you go. Well, this is Fantasia. So for some of you who do not know, eventually they would bring this concept back years later in the form of Fantasia 2000.
What?
Fantasia 2000. Take a good look at it. It's out on DVD as well if you're interested. Fantasia 2000. This thing contains more music. You'll have here Let's see what's all in it.
Doesn't say here.
Bolero, I believe, and it also not Bolero. What was it?
Beethoven and Gershwin. It says.
Yes, Beethoven. I can't remember. I think it might be. Help me out. I can't remember which Beethoven.
Nothing mentioned here. I don't know this. I've never seen this.
Okay. Well, anyways, the conductor is James Levine.
Wow.
And he is conducting the Chicago Symphony.
Ooh, good for them.
Yes. So, but it contains Pomp and Circumstance. It also has the Firebird. It also has, let's see. Oh gosh, I can't remember them all. Maybe if I see some of the pictures in the front, it'll help me out. Oh, I remember that. My goodness, I don't remember. I wish I did. Rhapsody in Blue. There's also, oh yeah, that one. The Shostakovich Piano Concerto No. 2 is in this.
Wow.
So, in case you were all interested.
Is that what this second cartoon is about with the workers?
Yeah. Rhapsody in Blue is the conductor for the Rhapsody in Blue segment is Bruce Brautigam. He's the conductor. And guess who the pianist is? It is, I want to see if you remember this guy, Ralph Grierson.
I remember that name.
You remember that name, Ralph Grierson?
Yeah.
Okay, for some of you who don't remember, quite a few episodes ago, we talked about the movie The Competition with Richard Dreyfuss and Amy Irving. He was one of the pianists on the soundtrack for The Competition. Ralph Grierson, fine pianist, and it did quite a bang-up job on the Rhapsody in Blue. Now, interestingly enough, back to James Levine and the Chicago Symphony, the Shostakovich Concerto No. 2, Opus 102, first movement only, is performed by Russian pianist Yefim Brofman. So he got himself on the thing.
I think he got it by Israeli.
Israeli? I did not know that.
Well, he's Jewish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah, he probably is of Russian heritage, but he's
just like Israeli. Okay, gotcha. All right, cool. Anyways, Fantasia 2000 produced. The music producer was Peter Gelb. Remember Peter Gelb? So apparently he
runs the Metropolitan Opera.
Yeah.
You know, they're interesting. Well, I mean, some of the original music in the first Fantasia, Night on Bald Mountain,
yeah,
Sorcerer's Apprentice. I was trying to think of anything that slipped my mind right now. Those actually are story-driven musical compositions.
Yeah.
So it's not a stretch that what Walt Disney comes up with is more or less a pictorial representation of what the music is intending to show. Have they got the Rhapsody in Blue in here? What else did you say?
Shostakovich Piano Concerto No. 2, Yefim Brofman.
Okay. The G minor?
F major.
Oh, Shostakovich.
Shostakovich.
I thought.
I've seen him play that one too.
And you said the Shostakovich.
Yeah.
What else did you say?
There's also Pomp and Circumstance and Firebird.
The Firebird. Well, the Firebird actually does tell a story.
Yeah.
That's Stravinsky's ballet.
Yeah. But believe me, the Firebird has nothing to do with
the interesting
story.
Thing is, if not, then they come up with a very imaginative visualization of what the music might represent. Yeah. I know one of the scenes that Mom would not approve of his kids was the Night on Bald Mountain with the devils. Yeah. This kind of shadow figure that appears over the mountain, kind of orchestrating the witches' flights and activities around the mountain.
Yeah.
It's pretty scary. It's pretty scary stuff.
It is very scary.
There's sometimes some. I remember there was ages where we lived. I remember my dad took me when I was 14 years old to see the Hindenburg.
Yeah,
that was my first PG.
Oh, George C. Scott. Yeah, I remember that one.
Wasn't allowed to see anything not G before then.
How's that intense movie?
Dad took me to see it. Yeah, that was pretty intense for me to see that. First R-rated film I ever saw was Is it Schwarzenegger? Conan.
Conan the Barbarian?
The Barbarian, I think. Is that one?
Well, no, actually, the rated R one is Conan the Destroyer. Is what it was.
Well, this one was about a creature that is born up out of this ooze and stuff. And fights and you got
the Destroyer.
Is that it?
Yeah.
That's the first one that I ever saw. But I remember, Sleeping Beauty is kind of scary in some moments.
Oh yeah, it has its moments.
It's not even so much the green-faced witch.
Yeah.
It's more the evil stepmother.
Yeah.
With her black thing and everything.
Yeah.
She was really kind of scary.
Yeah, she was scary.
Anyway.
So, anyways,
you guys can
having a good time? Now, believe it or not, I just showed you these two movies here to bring up the real story behind this next part. So, you think it would just end with the Fantasia movies, didn't you? Actually not. Incidentally, in 1979, somebody in Europe decided to take the same concept and give it a little bit more sophistication. And it comes in the form of a movie, 1979 movie called Allegro non troppo.
Oh, I haven't seen that for ages.
Allegro non troppo.
Yeah, I remember
this one? This is not for children, folks.
No.
Definitely not.
Is this French?
I don't know if it's French. I don't think it is. Now, do not confuse this with
Italian.
Do not confuse this movie with the other movie I brought in a few weeks ago called Arioso. That one was rated R.
Yeah.
Okay. This one, you might, but children might actually fall asleep and not really understand the concept on this one. Okay. So for this video, we have quite a roster here. So the program here, let's see, we have The Mid-Afternoon of a Faun by Debussy, Slavonic Dance No. 7 by Dvorak, Ravel's Bolero, and Sibelius's Valse Triste. All of them performed by the Berlin Philharmonic Orchestra, conducted by Herbert von Karajan. Yeah, I know. So he would do this.
He didn't do these with the cartoons, though. My guess
is...
Yeah,
he did.
He did?
Well,
he was like conducting them when they were showing.
Well, maybe it might have been like a pre-recorded.
That's what
thing.
I mean.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't ever hear mention doing this, but they would use the material. I saw this a long time.
Very long time ago. Yeah. Let me show it to them. Yeah. You'll be hard up to try to find a copy of this. I think it's on YouTube now, by the way. There it is. Allegro non troppo. So, but anyways, I'll put this over here.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but wait, there's more. So, what else is on the program? There's a concerto in C major by Vivaldi.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know who's it for. It is performed by the Munich Chamber Orchestra by conductor Hans Stadelmeier. Don't know him. Also in the program, and I believe this closes the whole movie, it's the Firebird, once again. Firebird performed by the Berlin Radio Symphony Orchestra, conducted by Lauren Mazel. Interesting. So now, unlike the Fantasia movies, it does take a more of a serious vein. This one is a little bit more artistic.
European.
Very European, very arty. Bolero, for instance, almost the Bolero segment almost takes on more of a form of like an animated vignette, I would imagine. It takes you to a world, and well, you know how the work starts, right? So, and you see these little creatures come out of the ground. Just these little tiny little creatures. They almost look like ants. Yeah. So
there's a picture
in the back. But anyways, and then it builds up to a fevered pitch, and all of a sudden you have about 1 million of them. So it's just crazy. But anyways, there you have it, folks.
I was thinking, have you ever seen the Gaudeamus Huis film? Gaudeamus Huis. I don't know what it means. It's an Indian word, but it came out. It was a film, the first one that came out.
Yeah.
It was kind of about man's tenuous relationship with the earth and with nature.
Uh-huh.
So in the present political scene, this kind of stuff would be thought of as like way lefty kind of,
Yeah.
climate friendly kind of stuff. But they're really amazing visual things, and all the music was written by the guy that wrote my 18s.
The Etudes?
Yeah.
Oh, Philip Glass?
Philip Glass. Yeah.
Wow.
It's very interesting.
What's it called?
Gaudeamus Huis. Something like KOYANSQAATSI, something like that. It's some kind of an Indian, I don't know, it's Hopi or something like that. And I'll put this stuff up on this film because it has a certain meaning. But it's kind of, I suppose, a native people's statement, warning, reminder. Be careful of Mother Earth, because you can hurt her, but if you hurt her, you hurt yourselves.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you hurt Mother Earth, she swats back. And it's a very interesting testament. I think the first one came out in the early 80s. They eventually made 3 of them. And, it's unfortunately a lot of films. Number 2 and number 3 is kind of the same story, but kind of slightly different. Yeah. Like Superman 1, great. Superman 2, Superman 6, I don't know. Yeah. Or, I did see them about 10 years ago, maybe. Mm-hmm. A couple Spider-Man movies at the one time, maybe. They're kind of cool. Yeah.
Tony McGuire?
No, those are the first ones.
Okay, you're talking about the later ones.
There's another guy. And he does them well. The stories are the same, but they're just kind of different. But I mean, how many movies do you have to have? Yeah. It's just, isn't Richard Pryor in one of the Superman movies?
Oh, yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. It's horrible. Oh,
yeah. So.
Yeah, I think it was number 3.
And the original Gaudeamus Huis, I remember because my ex-wife and I were early married, and they have this wonderful theater called the Little Art Theater in Yellow Springs. And it's just, ever since it was revived from the older days, it was just normal movie theater. Interesting story was, Yellow Springs is a very interesting, really vibrant little community down there. Antioch College is there. One would say it's definitely a progressive kind of little town. They're wonderful people. We lived there for 3 or 4 years, I think. 3 years, I think. And then moved on to my master's. But a guy down in Cincinnati who had different investments, but he owned all the porno theaters down in Cincinnati. And I think he was also invested in alcohol or things like that. Mm-hmm. But he bought the theater in Yellow Springs, and then people said, "Oh my God, that's all we need is have an X-rated theater right in the middle of our little tiny downtown. What is that going to do?" He said, No. He says, "I make my money from that stuff down in the city." But he said, "My passion is for really great European and indie films and artistic kind of stuff like that. And that's what I want to show at the Little Art Theater." And so that's where
you saw it.
Now I just remember that's where I saw that.
Oh wow!
It was at the Little Art Theater. I think you're on Torkel. I was talking about. Yeah. I forget now. I lost my train of thought. But no, anyway, I don't remember what I was talking about. But that's enough. I better shut up because I don't even remember.
Well, that's what
that was.
Well, folks. What number is this? This is number 42?
41.
41?
I think it would be 41. 41 was supposed to have been Halloween. And it didn't happen, right?
40 was not for the Halloween.
Oh, so then 40 became the one we did the week after.
Yeah.
And then you couldn't come last week.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
So yeah, I think this will be 41.
This one will be
I
41?
think so.
Okay. Well, folks.
But maybe we shouldn't stop trying to put the number with it, because
Okay, well.
we might screw it up when we're saying this and it turns out that's
Turns out
right.
not being right.
I
Yeah,
don't
so,
know.
but
But I think we got 40 of them online now.
40 of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
But come on,
I know.
can you imagine that? And that's just this year, since January.
That's not bad.
We're doing
You're
okay.
doing all right. We came up with some good material. We're funny. We're charming.
Aren't we though?
Hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, folks, if you like our material, you like us, you like our conversations and topics, please comment, like, and subscribe. Boy, do we need it. Yes.
Everybody put your thumbs up.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to come back and bring some more next time. I believe next week is Thanksgiving, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
But
is.
you got that family.
I'm going to have to go to family stuff.
Yeah.
So,
So it might be a couple of weeks.
all right. So, but anyways.
So everybody have a happy Turkey Day.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
you do that kind of stuff.
So, anyways, we'll see you again in our next episode. Come back for more exciting stuff.
Yeah.
This is
I am Mr. Mark.
I'm Elmer, and we are
Mark and Elmer's PSI. PSI Investigation. Say bye, guys.
Bye, see ya next time. Bye bye.